drifter came calling, a vampire. He tried to make me decide which order they died in. I survived and he escaped, but I learned what he was. I learned his weaknesses: garlic, silver, sunlight, and I trained. And I traveled. I will find him. And nothing will stand in my way. Name's Whistler.
These ads is whack, man. Aloha nerds, thank you so much for watching my video, Whistler, the Blade Saga, a parody concept trailer. I'm the director, Matthew J. Salanoa. As you can tell by the video, I'm a big fan of Blade. As you can tell by my background, I'm a big fan of Marvel first. Yeah, so I just wanted to make this video to A, first give you a little background on the video, and B, say if you like the video, please let me know and please share. But first, a little background. I just want to kind of, I'm sure for some of you, this trailer is probably coming out of nowhere. It's like, is this a fan film? Are you serious? Why is it called a parody? I just wanted to address all of that and hopefully a quick little video. First off, the reason I call this video a parody, I'm going to explain that first, is because, as you might be able to tell from the way it's cut, a lot of this footage is repurposed from other videos that I either have made or am making, either using takes that won't be used in those other videos, in order to sort of tell a complete or a semi-complete sense of a story, or at the very least tell the story that in my head I want to tell. It is a genuine concept trailer. So I am a filmmaker. For those of you who don't know and don't watch my podcast, I'm a filmmaker for over 17 years. I started when I was in high school. My true passion is directing. I love being behind the camera. I love picking the shots. I love telling the story visually. And literally visual. There's no dialogue in this trailer except for the narration. And that's me doing the narration, by the way. I'd conceived of this trailer maybe over 6 months ago. My podcast is the Salawog's Gut Reaction. It's sort of a coy title because although it's called Gut Reaction, most of the time on the podcast, I'm talking about what the filmmaker is going through, what techniques they're using, how is the shot or the color choices, how is that all part of the filmmaker's storytelling process to get you, the audience member, to feel something. And really it's aimed, although again, the title doesn't really speak to its intended audience, it's aimed for other storytellers. So if you're a new storyteller, I make this podcast really for you, for the young me who doesn't know, say, hey, what's going on in this movie? What should I be paying attention to that should be going in my tool belt as a storyteller? That's the real goal of my podcast. And I was doing an episode about the usage of music in the first Blade movie. And I had learned about that usage from a special feature where the music supervisor of the movie was on the commentary, and he was basically explaining how the music is part of the storytelling. But as I was doing that podcast, I conceived of this notion of, wouldn't it be funny if there was a Whistler movie? And in my head, it was going to be a very deliberately funny trailer. But as the months went on, I never actually had any footage for this. I didn't have anyone to act. All of this trailer, and here's where the real background comes into, this is why it's a parody to me. All of this trailer is actually repurposed from a zombie show concept trailer that I made that I never released because you'll see the actor Randy Smith in this video, who I think does a fantastic job. He's just a natural actor. He's not a trained actor. He's someone I met at work, and we became friends. We're not collaborating anymore. I moved to SoCal. He's still in Vallejo. But I would want to say, like, as a natural actor, he was fantastic. He's in a couple other videos I've done, and in this video, I think he does a really great job, even though technically he's playing a zombie survivor, not Whistler. So that zombie trailer, please let me know if you want to see that, and maybe I'll release it. I have never released it because the thing is, I shot that trailer back when I first moved to Vallejo. Randy was one of the first friends I made, and Vallejo at that time looked like the Walking Dead zombie apocalypse. Literally, derelict buildings everywhere. Throw a stone, and you're not going to break any windows because they're already broken. No offense to Vallejo, which has some wonderful people in it. Shout out to Faith Food Fridays, where I volunteered for a little while. Really, there's some really great people there, but the city really was left to ruin for a long time. And I took advantage of that to make this zombie trailer. But in the time between making the initial trailer and when I moved out, I was never able to get anyone to play my zombies. I tried to get friends, I tried to get family. It just never materialized. And also in that time, Vallejo started cleaning up. They started fencing off all the derelict areas, so I can't get in there. And then not only that, then they demolished all of them, so I can't, there's nothing there to film. So here I was, now I can't even if I had people to make zombies with, I do not have the background, the natural location that's free to use because it's public land. I don't have that anymore. So, you know, flash forward four years now, almost 4 years later, I've been sitting on all of this footage. And even the footage with the knife is repurposed footage where Randy's supposed to be, this is supposed to be for a Mortal Kombat review that I never did. He's supposed to be some version of Scorpion, and I'm supposed to come out as Sexy Bane and fight him. But we never got around to shooting my side, so I just had his side. But even that gag where he has the knife attached to the wire, which at the time I'm like, oh, that's like Blade. You know what I mean? That's like Blade and Blade 3. Even at the time, that was a great thing that he came up with himself. And I just came up with the shots and asked him to do what I did. And I used literally the best of the footage here in this trailer. And all of this, by the way, shot on my Google Pixel 3. I'm pretty happy with how this trailer came out. And I would love to know, did you like this trailer? I'm happy with it because I know what it came from, and it sort of fulfills something that I came up with in my head. But I want to know from you, did you like it? Do you want more videos like this from me? You gotta let me know by liking and leaving a comment. Say, hey, more of this, or would you like me to work at Marvel and make it? Because I gotta tell you, here's really where the concept came from. I was making that Blade podcast, and I was thinking, and I was talking about, I believe I cut it out of the podcast, but I was talking about how the current Blade movie that's supposed to be in development is really having trouble. And some of the weird problems I've heard from the internet, who knows if it's true, but some of the very bizarre problems they're having from a script stage. I was like, man, if I had 10 minutes to talk to Kevin Feige, I would love to see a Whistler film. Not that I don't want to see a Blade film, but I would love to see Whistler's story. Because I really loved that scene in the first Blade where Karen, I believe the actress' name is Nabushi, right? Karen, who Blade saves, has been bitten by a vampire, and she's working on a cure. And she's realized that Blade is part vampire. And she talks to Whistler, and Whistler tells her the story of what happened to him. And that's the dialogue that I'm using here. I took it right from the movie, and then I augmented it to make sense for the trailer. And that's my voice doing the narration. I'm trying my best to do a slightly younger Chris Christopherson voice, and let me know if that worked. But it hit me. It hit me like a sack of bricks when I was doing that review. I was like, man, that always hit me hard when I watched that scene, and you just can hear the heartbreak in Chris Christopherson's voice. And not only that, but if you're watching the movie, you know it opens with Blade as a baby watching his mom die, which is also a deleted piece of dialogue from that script that Blade remembers seeing his mom die. He remembers it. And that's like, what a trauma. You know what I mean? But to me, that's what connects Whistler and Blade, is that both of them lost their families due to a vampire. They are joined by a shared trauma. And what makes them heroes is that they don't succumb to it. They don't give up on life. They decide, okay, if vampires are out there killing people and ending families, I'm going to take it upon myself to take vampires out. And that's what makes them both heroic. And that's also what makes them tied as father and son, even if it's not literal father and son. Whistler raised him, and the reason Blade is the way he is because of this man. And the fact that Whistler could overcome his prejudice in a weird way also to serve his prejudice. But it's like, hey, he's a vampire, but he's walking in the sun. What's that about? I just thought that's fascinating stuff. So I thought 2 movies. If I could talk to Kevin Feige, I had 2 movies in mind. First, you start with Blade, and you tell it Batman Begins style, where he is Blade, but now we also get this backstory. The first hour is also seeing Blade as a kid, seeing Blade grow up. Tell that part where, hey, he remembers his mom dying. But really, that's a conversation between him and Whistler when they've gotten to know each other. But show Blade on the street. Show him struggling. Show him meeting Whistler. Show Whistler sort of figuring out how to deal with having this vampire kid in your life. And show how one way or another they work out what happens in the first Blade, which is, okay, there's a herbalist who helps make a serum so Blade doesn't need to drink blood. How do we even get there? How do we get to Blade learning his martial arts? He must have had other masters, and I don't mean that in the bad way, internet. He must have had other masters that taught him to be so cool. That's a story. What the audience wants is story that they haven't seen before. Yes, they want it in the same style. Yes, they want it to be unique from other movies. But we all want story that we haven't seen before, and we haven't seen that. How did Blade become Blade? That's a movie right there. But not only that, I was thinking, as a side franchise springing from this, a Whistler film, or perhaps Whistler trilogy, where we see Whistler's origin, having a family, what happened exactly with that vampire, and don't gloss over it like X-Men Origins Wolverine style, where it happens in 1 minute. It should be like a good, 15 to 30 minute horror movie chunk. That's like the front of the Whistler movie, which is dealing with this vampire. Like 30% of the movie is that happening to him and him experiencing this horror movie film. And then the other, 60%, you could say 35 to 65, either way. The other 60% of the movie is Whistler figuring out what vampires are, going out and hunting them, and hopefully, inevitably, finding the vampire that did this to his family. And that's the first Whistler movie. And maybe Whistler 2, he's now becoming this very technically skilled man who can build weapons and all this stuff, and maybe he's facing a different vampire. But maybe Whistler's vampires are different from Blade's vampires. Blade being a vampire who can detect other vampires instantly with his instincts, he can go and get the higher echelon vampires like Deacon Frost. But maybe Whistler, just being a normal guy, it's over the course of 3 movies that he learns everything that Blade knows in the first movie, because he has to teach it to him. Most of it. Whatever Blade can't do himself, Whistler has to teach him. So, that's kind of 2 trilogies, you know what I mean? And I just... all this came to me as I'm talking about the Blade movie problems, and I even start talking about these ideas then. But I didn't even want to talk about any of that until I came up with this trailer. As soon as the idea hit me for the trailer, I was like, wait, stop talking, don't put any of this in the podcast self. I'm going to flesh this out somehow. And so, 6 months later, I'm actually shooting footage for a completely different funny video, an Al Yankovic style parody of Sting's Desert Rose, which let me know if you want to see that. But that's actually where you see my friend and her son. That's the repurposed footage that's supposed to be Whistler's family. Because that footage that you see is not going to be used in that video, so that's why it's there. But as soon as I had that in the can, finally the last little Connect 4 came into mind. I'm like, this is how I make my Whistler video. Now I have the family. Now I have all this footage of Randy looking cool. Now I can make this Whistler trailer. And so here, that's all the background. That's where all this came from. I'm really proud of the trailer. I think it's pretty cool. Proud of my little score that I did. I did the first half score. I also want a big shout out to Mother Muerte, who does the song. That's the second half of the trailer. I really love that song, Labyrinth. This is my sister and her boyfriend's band, Mother Muerte. It's a classic rock, Latin fusion type of band where they use sort of classic rock style with Latin music interwoven. What Jose does with the drums is amazing. What my sister does with the guitar and her voice is amazing. I'm a genuine fan of the band. I was driving them around to their shows in the beginning. Now they're doing it all themselves, but it was very cool to see them gain popularity in Sacramento. So if you're a fan of rock music and you're in the Sacramento area, or in the Bay Area, and if you're in NorCal, Mother Muerte is running around performing right now. You gotta go see them. And this particular song comes from a video that me and Randy recorded. So that video is gonna be right here, or in a link in the description, however you want to get to it. Really proud of them. It's a really fantastic band. And remember, I said some of this is repurposed from a zombie trailer. That zombie trailer, which let me know if you want to see it. It don't got no zombies in it. But it also uses a piece of music from Mother Muerte. That's actually where the inspiration came to put their music in here. But I didn't want to just put the music in there and not show you a cool video of them performing. So go check that out. And once again, finally, if you like this trailer, if you like my concept for what I would do if I could make a Marvel movie, if I could make a Blade movie or be part of the Blade franchise, that's what I would do. Please like and subscribe and share. That's the most important thing. If you are interested in this sort of thing, you gotta let me know, and you definitely gotta let Marvel know, because I would love to have 10 minutes with Kevin Feige to talk about some of my movie ideas. You know what? If that don't happen, it's cool, because at least I finally did this trailer, which is just to visualize a concept that's been sitting in my head. And again, this was entirely no budget. This was shot on my cell phone. I just I know how to film. And not that all of it looks super professional, but I know where the camera needs to be to tell an emotional story. And I know how to color correct. So hopefully the video mostly looks good and it doesn't have too many rough edges. And again, if you enjoyed it, let me know. If you like it, please subscribe and share. And thank you so much for watching. I love Marvel. At the time of this, Deadpool and Wolverine is 1 week away, so by the time this comes out, maybe I'll have a Deadpool and Wolverine review. Thank you very much for watching. Mwah! Love to everyone who loves cinema. Remember, my podcast, The Salanoa's Gut Reaction, is for storytellers, techniques, things that filmmakers do. That's what I talk about most episodes. Sometimes I do just say whether I liked it or not, and that's it. But that's why I call it Gut Reaction, because I can choose. But anyway, that's enough. Like and subscribe if you want more. Tell me if you like the trailer. And have a great day. Thank you very much, and aloha.